Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. NBC announced this week that it's renewing the game show The Weakest Link for Season 3 this fall with hilarious host Jane Lynch. I spoke to Lynch when she performed at the Birchmere in Alexandria, Virginia in 2015, just days before the series finale of Glee.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Jane. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Nice meeting you, too.
So you have a show coming up here at the Birchmere. How long have you been at that end of the career?
Well, that was the beginning of my career. It was, it's cabaret and sketch and, kind of going into established stage shows and doing my thing and working with ensembles. And that's where I started, with Second City and doing one-person shows and stuff like that. But never by myself, really. I called them one-person shows, and this looks like a one-person show as well, but actually I'm touring with a 5-piece band. They are amazing. And Kate Flannery from The Office, she played Meredith the Drunk. She's a friend, and we've been singing together for decades. And we just have a blast. We have a blast. We're doing all sorts of different songs, lots of different forms. We've got some obscure jazz stuff, an obscure Irving Berlin tune, some show tunes that we've turned on their ear, and hopefully some hilarious patter. And it's a fast, fun, furious hour, which is the way I like to do it.
But just get back to what you were saying about it's fun how it's kind of come full circle, right? Doing one-person shows, Second City and everything, and then, probably the last thing you expected was to go off into movies and TV, and now you've come all the way back around to one-person shows again. It's a wild ride, huh?
Exactly. And, when I was doing movies and TV, which, of course, I'm still doing,
Sure.
but I never thought I wanted to go back to theater. The thought of doing a live show was no longer like a ticklish thing for me. And then I did Annie on Broadway, and it all came back to me. And I loved it, and I got the bug again, and that's really what led to my doing this cabaret show that I'm currently touring with.
Absolutely. Let's go a little through some of your career highlights, if you like. One of the first things I remember, and this might be, underrated in your mind of accomplishments, but the first thing I remember seeing you in was The Fugitive.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was, I was a theater person at that time. It was shot in Chicago. That's where I was doing theater. And I, kind of lucked into this role. I didn't audition for it or anything. For some reason, the casting person who saw me in the real live Brady Bunch on a shitty little stage in a garage in Chicago thought I might be good as the lab technician.
For Harrison Ford's Hunt for the One-Armed Man, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that something?
That's funny. What was it like working with Harrison?
Oh, great. He was a real pro. He was really nice to me. I was very young. I guess I was 30, which was much younger than I am now. And it was the first time I'd really acted in a movie, seriously acted in a movie. I'd done little silly turns and things like vice versa. Anything that came into town, I would get a small part in. But, yeah, he was great, and he took me into his trailer, and we kind of reworked the scene, and because he didn't like the way it was written, so we kind of reworked it, and it was a very satisfying, kind of a peak experience for me back then.
Well, and that kind of was your transition from the live realm to, on camera.
Yeah.
While The Fugitive was more serious, I'm sure The 40-Year-Old Virgin was you more at home in your comedic realm. You were absolutely hysterical in that film.
Oh, thank you so much. And that's celebrating its 10-year anniversary this year.
Absolutely.
But before that, I had done Best in Show. I started doing
that's right. What was it like working with that? I mean, it's funny you mentioned the drunk from The Office, as you put it a few seconds ago. But, in a way, you guys, Guest was pioneering that whole mockumentary. And then with 40-Year-Old Virgin, you kind of helped put Steve Carell on the map, and then there he is working on The Office with her. Things kind of come full circle. Oh,
yeah. It was a very small world at that point. In fact, when we were doing... It was Steve's first, Steve is a Chicagoan too. Well, he grew up in, I think, San Francisco or Boston or something, but we were at Second City at the same time.
Oh,
and
okay.
Kate was there as well. And so for Steve, it was his first star turn, and he had just shot The Office pilot. So he didn't even know that was going to become a series, much less a hit.
Right.
And he didn't know he was going to be a big star at that point either. But all signs were pointing toward it. But yeah, that was a big year for Steve. It was a big year for me too.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look back at that movie, I mean, just let's talk about it because it's the 10-year anniversary. So many stars came from that. I mean, you went on to do Glee. I mean, Seth Rogen skyrocketed, Steve Carell skyrocketed.
Yeah.
You have Jonah Hill, like, buying the shoes and the thing. I mean, so many
Right.
people took off from that movie. Well, I mean, do you think that it's going to help its legacy? Maybe 50 years we look back at, in a way.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know who else was in that movie? Had a very small part. Kevin Hart.
Yeah, you're right. So
He played a customer at the Smart Tech store.
You're absolutely right. There's literally
Yeah, he's the hottest thing now.
Yeah, so many people came from that movie. Do you think it will rank among? I mean, I think it will among all-time great comedies.
You think so? I think a lot of people do. I mean, I think it's excellent. I haven't seen it in a while, and I'm sure it stands up. It was also Judd Apatow's first directing turn, the first time he directed a movie, and it put him on the map. It kind of started this whole thing for all of them, and including me, of this trajectory of a particular kind of comic film that was, kind of loosely scripted, a lot of improv, and kind of everybody, the best joke wins, even though there were people who were considered the stars of the film. It was very ensemble feeling. Everybody's character was really developed, and they all came with their own thing. That just kind of started a trend.
Absolutely, and then
and it led to some TV shows too. That way too, some very ensemble-y TV shows.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, then you show up on Glee, and then it's its own huge, massive success. Which, I mean, did the fact that was a music show, did that kind of start bringing you back more towards the live? If we're talking about your trajectory, did that bring you?
I bet it did.
Yeah.
I bet it did because I got to do a few songs on Glee that were really fun, and it got me back in touch with how much I love to sing. So definitely, I think that's led to my desire to get back on stage to do Annie and then to do this show.
How much longer is Glee on? Aren't you guys on your final run here?
We are on our final run. We've finished. We finished shooting last week or the week before last, and I believe in 3 weeks the finale will air.
What was the final shooting day like to be able to have to say goodbye to all those folks that you were so close with?
Well, it was the last 3 days that was really hard. It was like the countdown started the last 3 days, and it was very sad, and it was also really fun. Everybody laughing uncontrollably, crying uncontrollably. It was full of emotion. It was a lot of fun.
And it's more than just most shows. I mean, you guys have been through a lot together with Corey and everything else. I mean, I'm sure it was almost like a family that you have to say goodbye to.
Yes, indeed, it was like a family, and it really showed. At the end there, everybody was in tears.
Are we gonna? I mean, the finale hasn't aired yet. Are we gonna see, some real life emotions carrying on to the screen?
Oh yeah, probably. I would imagine. I think there might be a teary scene or two in it. But we jump ahead 5 years at one point in the finale, and it's kind of fun to see where the writers have imagined that these people end up. And it's all very uplifting and heartening, and it's about everybody feeling, expressing themselves in their own individual way and being supported by each other all along the way.
Do you think you and, the rest of the people on the show and the show itself reinvigorated a sort of interest in musical theater? Because there weren't many, at least movie musicals and things of that nature weren't really made throughout the 90s unless it was maybe a Disney movie. But, probably starting around the time Glee came back around and, you had Chicago and Moulin Rouge and stuff. But, I mean, I feel like there's been a reinvigoration of that and in no small part to you guys.
Yeah, I do too. I think Ryan Murphy got it right. And it worked, and it inspired people to, explore music as a means in television and film. And also, I believe it impacted kids a lot. I think a lot of musical theater people, came out of the closet, so to speak, and claimed that, I might be the football player, but I want to be in the musical. Because I hear that, I don't have any stats for this, of course, but people tell me that the amount of kids auditioning for the school musical in some places has gone up because of the people's love for Glee.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of our modern day Rydell High, It's something that the pop phenomenon that took place in the high school hallways. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
So bringing it full circle then back to the show here this month at the Birchmere. Have you been to DC area much?
I do get to the DC area much. I have not been to Alexandria or the Birchmere, so I'm really looking forward to that. But I have friends in DC, and hopefully they're all coming out, and hopefully all of your listeners or your readers will come out. We're going to be there for 2 nights, and it's a nice, intimate venue compared to what we've been playing in, so we're really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Where are you in your tour? Where are we along the way?
It's a spotty tour. It's not like we're gone for weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. So we've done probably 6 shows total, maybe 5, 6. We've done 6 shows total in this maybe 20-date tour. So we're into it. We're well into it, and we're having a blast. We're loving it.
Is there going to be a lot of audience interaction?
Not so much like everybody clap your hands or can I have a first line of dialogue? That's not going to happen.
Right.
The great thing about a live theater event is that indeed the audience takes part and has a great deal to do with it. It's a communication between the two of us, the entity of the audience and our entity there on stage, and it's very invigorating, and it's joyful. It's when I'm my happiest. It's really, truly when I'm my happiest.
Well, hopefully you are very, very happy when you come here, and thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Oh, I know I will be.
Thanks so much for taking the time and going through your whole career. Sometimes people just want to talk about the here and now, and I appreciate you taking the time to kind of go through it all with me.
No problem. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, good luck. Thanks for coming.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.